Looking for a Valentine's gift she'll truly love? 1-800-Flowers.com knows what she wants. For 50 years, 1-800-Flowers has helped guys like you get it right, delivering millions of fresh Valentine's roses nationwide. 1-800-Flowers offers premium fresh-cut flowers backed by their 7-day freshness guarantee, plus same-day delivery when you need them on time. Valentine's is coming up and bouquets are selling fast, so don't wait on this. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
At Lowe's, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, install, and more when you spend $2,500 on select major appliances. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Visit your nearby Lowe's on East 17th Avenue in Hutchinson.
This podcast is brought to you by Patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. Head there to check out exclusive podcasts like Talking Futurama, Talk King of the Hill, the What a Cartoon Movie podcast, and tons more.
Cartoons from present in the past. Every week will be an animated bash. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! Maybe a short but mostly shows. We'll talk, we'll analyze, exploring as we go. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! What a cartoon! What a cartoon!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to What a Cartoon, the podcast that's always been devoted to glamour, fashion, and fame. I'm one of your hosts, the evil chauffeur, Bob Mackey, and this is an audio exploration of every cartoon ever. Who is here with me today, as always?
Henry Gilbert, and I'm only going to reuse a couple songs from the first season in this podcast.
And who is our special guest on the line?
Dan McCoy. My songs are better.
And this month's episode is all about the gem episode, The Fan.
Not too shabby. It's truly outrageous. What a lousy song.
And yes, you heard him up front. Dan McCoy is on the show today. We often don't have guests on What a Cartoon, but Dan reached out to us, and he requested that we cover a gem, and we actually have never touched this subject matter before, despite being 80s kids. So this is one of the uncharted territories.
Wow.
He-Man is over the horizon, I think, for us, perhaps. But gem comes first.
I find that shocking. You know what? I'm a mid-40s man who occasionally blue skies inexplicable posts about Jim, so I get to talk about my weird fascination with it. I'm very glad.
And we're setting the precedent now in that if you are a popular podcaster, you can just tell us what to do. Griffin Newman could kick down our door right now and say, you guys are a Family Guy podcast, and we'd have to listen.
I'd give him at least 3 episodes of Family Guy on here if that's what he demanded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be fools not to.
Yeah, Dan, it was a surprise. You sent us an email out of the blue over the holidays, I think it was. And it was like, oh, wow, this is great. It seemed fitting to be our first one of the year then. And I mean, what is it that makes you such a Jim fan, Dan?
Well, I'll try and figure it out. Over the holidays, by the way, I did that because... So I was imposing an episode on my brother and sister-in-law because my sister-in-law had never seen it herself. And Audrey, my wife, said, you know people who do a cartoon podcast. You should really talk to them about how much you love Jim. Specifically, for me right now, as an old person, this is what I put on sometimes if I've come back from the bar late at night and I need something very silly to soothe me. There's something about it that I just find... fascinating because it's clearly like it's in that zone of 80s cartoons of like, G.I. Joe, Transformers, like, but this one was at the time, like more specifically geared toward girls. But I know like plenty of guys like me who actually watched Jim at the time as well, because it was like this weird hybrid show where it's like, yeah, it's about the intrigue of having this girl group, but also like there's this science fiction element of a holographic computer that allows them to do hologram disguises and project things. And the Misfits, the evil band, like straight up like tried to kill Jim on a number of occasions. And it has all this like more continuity than you expect out of this sort of show. It's just got this really weird vibe. And it also kind of looks beautiful. It looks like a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper crossed with like a Nagel painting.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's so 80s looking, so bright. Occasionally, whenever there's like a music part of it, like they clearly handed it over to the better animation studio and the animation gets like really beautiful for a while. Yeah, I'm just fascinated by it.
All of those things are fun to discover as we looked at this closely for the first time for this and noticing like for a toy commercial cartoon of the 80s, a lot of thought and work was put into this, not just in like the writing and design, but even the animation from the same animators as Dragon Ball, which is why I'm wearing a Dragon Ball shirt today, which was the closest thing I had to a shirt featuring Jim and the hologram.
So they were adjacent to the Goku wing of Toei Animation Studios.
I mean, Bulma in Dragon Ball has Jim-like fashions, I'd say. They were dressed very similarly.
Well, I mean, and, you know, at the time when I was a kid in the 80s, or not like, you know, I was not like the youngest kid by the time Jim came out. I can't remember exactly when it would have been, but like when I was a kid, you know, like Japanese anime, like it didn't really have like the same omnipresence in American life as it does now. Like maybe you'd see some Speed Racer or whatever, but you wouldn't really like think about how this was all animated like overseas. And now watching it, it's so clear to me. I'm like, oh, this is like overseas animation done trying to like do a slightly more Western style, but you can see the influences there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's getting everyone ready for Sailor Moon about a decade later.
Yeah, it's got a magical girl transformation as well. Like, it is funny that some of the stuff it happens upon that was also just like magical girl animes in Japan were only starting to take off in the 80s. Like, technically, this is a whole other podcast, but that can be charted back to like the 50s in comics at the very least of magical girl anime. But like Sailor Moon wouldn't debut in the comics, I think, until like 89 or 90, I want to say.
Yes, and I think we covered this on our Sailor Moon episode, and that a lot of the magical girl stuff came out of Japan being in love with the show Bewitched.
Yes. Also that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, what's interesting to me about this show is like how unnecessary that element truly is. It's truly outrageous. There's no reason why Jim has to be living this double life, really, like that Jerrica turns into Jim to be the lead of the holograms, and there's no real reason that makes any satisfying sense why she doesn't tell her boyfriend that Jerrica and Jim are the same person. It's this whole double life thing. I never watched Hannah Montana, which would come along later, but I sort of assumed that had reasons why the double life was being led, whereas this does not, that I can tell.
I was thinking the same thing, Dan. I know nothing about Hannah Montana, so you know I'm cool. But I assume that she has that alter ego because she needs to live the life of a normal schoolgirl. I assume all the women in Gem are of age and don't need to be protected in any way.
Yeah, I mean, there's some like extra characters who are orphans at the home that also Jim does all of her rock and roll to fund, who I guess are probably teens. But yeah, all the people in the band, I'm assuming, are of age.
I read them as like late teens, like 19 or something, and Kimber more as like 16 to get, I mean, so clearly made to be like, well, this is the younger sister's toy. The older sister gets it, but if you're the younger sister, you're going to buy Kimber, not a Gem.
I see. Kimber is a Skipper figure.
And I mean, the Barbie crossover is a huge part of the history, too, or it being a Barbie challenger. When this was new in the 80s, I also was like, when it debuted, I was like 3. And so reruns were still playing when I was watching kids' cartoons into like ages 5 and 6. But if it was in the same block with Transformers or G.I. Joe or He-Man, I think I would watch, like, the intro was really eye-catching, but I think I did read it as like slower, and also like as a little kid in the 80s, I probably was sexist and was like, well, this is a girl cartoon. Why am I watching this?
Well, and now I love just like the soapiness of it, the soap opera elements of it. You mentioned the intro, like this, I guess, is the first episode by chance. The one that we watched is the first one with the new, much more inferior theme song. The one that's not about how truly outrageous Jim is, but about how, you know, you're a gym girl and we should all be gym girls.
Until I looked up earlier episodes, I thought I might have imagined the popular Gem song that we all know.
Yeah. Well, they keep it, I guess, as the closing credits for the rest of the series, but I don't know why they switched over to this worst song.
Yeah. Like Henry, I stayed in the boy cartoon lane. I don't think anyone would have shamed me for watching this, but unfortunately you are programmed pretty early by media to understand, like, well, this cartoon is not for you. So I would kind of stay away from it, but be a little fascinated by all the very attractive women on the show. And, you know, when you're between 4 to 7, you're just figuring out, like, why do I like these images? They're pretty, but not in the way that mommy is pretty. What's going on here? It's like when I see Elvira on the television.
Well,
Yes.
and it's fun that I think there is a camp fun to it too, like the way the girls dress, especially as the farther we get from the 80s, like their outfits and the crazy colors of everything. There's like a camp fun to it too. And there is a queer fandom for sure for Jem and the Holograms also. And even more so the Misfits, I'd say, honestly. I think the Misfits, I would say, just like G.I. Joe and Transformers, the more interesting characters are the bad guys on the show than the goody-goodies of the Holograms.
Yeah, the Holograms as a band, like, you don't really get to know much about any of them except for like a little bit Kimber. Like, she's like the featured supporting player. But, you know, with the Misfits, it's not huge characterization either, but at least you get to learn like, oh, okay, Stormer's kind of like one of the nicer Misfits. She sometimes has regrets about the things that they do, you know, and that mild bit of conflict always like appeals to me.
As we've talked around it, its history is very similar to other toy shows we have covered, which we've covered G.I. Joe and we've covered Transformers, and also Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which are all produced, and the Inhumanoids, all produced in the same machine, which was Hasbro, the toy company, hires Sunbow / Marvel Productions to make cartoons that are honestly should have been illegal commercials for their toys. And then they would then hire Japanese animators to make it, and then it would air on TV. And that was pretty much 83 to 88 was that like perfect era, or the specific era of Marvel Productions before things started shifting in the post Ninja Turtles world. To start this out, though, I'll say that there were a lot of interviews and histories on this, especially because the head writer of the show in particular gives tons of interviews and talks about Jem all the time. Plus, Jem has a very dedicated online fan base who's talked to many people, and so lots of resources out there. It's all on YouTube, but the Shout Factory DVD releases of the complete series includes like a 50-minute making of doc that is very well done and like interviews tons of people on it. I'm going to cite it a bit in this, but look it up for yourselves. It's a very, very good documentary on the making of Jem and the Holograms. So let's talk about pretty much the co-creator of the series, Christy Marks. She was born in the early 1950s. She doesn't have a real birth date out there. She's kind of mysterious, just like Jem. People have to ask her birthday.
Christy Marks sounds like a made-up name.
But Christy Marks, she grew up reading comics and fantasy books. She was into martial arts early on. She says she has a blue belt in Taekwondo, which is pretty cool. Oh. And she even got into the early indie press comics growing up in the 70s. And so she has this funny story that she moved to Los Angeles because her boyfriend at the time fell into Scientology. and they actually got married in a Scientology ceremony, but she said she eventually, after a few years, she's like, wait, this is bullshit, and like divorces him and leaves the church. So she was an early convert of the Scientology movement. So then she got a job as a script reader, which she was using as a way to network into actually get writing jobs. Her first published work under her name, I believe, is a Conan and Red Sonja comic from the Marvel, published in late 78, 79. And, you know, it was a helpful thing then if you could write a comic in the late 70s. Marvel did think, oh, you know what, could you also write a cartoon based on our comics, as we're starting to get into the business of that? So her first credited TV work is on the 78 Fantastic Four cartoon, which we talked a little bit about in our Mike Lawrence episode about the FF90s cartoon. And so now she's working at Marvel Productions based in L.A. Marvel, of course, they purchased Patty Freeling from Friz Freeling, the aging Friz Freeling, who sounded like that got bought out from under him. It actually sounded like not the thing for old Friz. Marvel Productions is, you know, they need scripts. They need scripts. So Christy Marks, she gets to write for the Spider-Man cartoons, which are being animated by Toei overseas. And Toei is doing a lot more overseas work starting in the 80s. And she writes an episode of Spider-Man called Video Man that we did with Matt McMuscles back in 2019. Can you believe that was 2019, Bob, that we did that podcast?
It feels like Video Man was just visiting me at my condo the other day.
And also she did an episode I watched 8 million times because I had it on a VHS. It's an episode called A Firestar is Born, where it's the origin of Firestar, the redheaded friend of the Amazing Friends. And it actually plays a bit like a Gem episode because it is about like her getting bullied by a pizzazz type bully who's calling her Angelica the Jinx. And she has to balance a dual identity. It almost feels like it was like a proving ground for her, or what she'd do later with Gem. She also worked on the first full season of G.I. Joe. She wrote the two-parter that is about artificial humans that replace people as their doppelgangers, which then got followed up on in the two-parter we covered, No Place Like Springfield, which was basically them doing a prisoner episode of G.I. Joe, of it driving shipwreck insane.
I think also a very old episode of What a Cartoon.
That was 2018, man. She said she learned a lot from the head writer of G.I. Joe, the creator of Howard the Duck, Steve Gerber.
Oh, wow.
Steve Gerber got screwed over by Marvel Comics, but was making a good living writing for Marvel Productions as head writer on G.I. Joe. She said he taught her how to write on a computer. It's like 1982, and he's like, you got to write on a computer, and you got to sign up for a BBS to send me your scripts digitally. She says he was really on the cutting edge with that. In 1983, who else was sending scripts digitally to their head writer, I wonder?
Wow.
1985, she is given this huge opportunity, rarely afforded a woman in her business, and honestly still now even really, to be the head writer of a series for the next Hasbro toy. But what would that be? So, the real, like, she even is in interviews, Mark says, like, well, it was really created by Bill Sanders, this guy who designed the whole line of Gem toys, and then they hired her on to like, okay, tell us what the story is for these toys.
So there's the creator of the toy, and then she's hired to let us know, what are these toys thinking?
Yes. Yeah.
Who are the toys?
She basically got like the bones of a story, and then she had to write the whole story Bible and build everything around it, and even come up with last names for most of the characters. The creator was a commercial designer named Bill Sanders. He wanted to come up with a toy line for the MTV generation, Barbie for the MTV generation. Bill Sanders came up with all the main characters of the bad guys and the good guys. And you can also see that, like, how does he pitch it to Hasbro? He's like, okay, so it's a character who transforms like a Transformer, and they have an opposing equal side like Cobra or the Decepticons in the Misfits. Like, you can see how he's putting together all the pieces of G.I. Joe and Transformers, except it's for a girl toy line that's going to be called M. That was their original name for it. M.
Yes, I read this, but they discovered they couldn't copyright a letter.
Yes. Though now that I notice it, if it was just M, that's why M is the biggest letter in the Gem design, like the title design, and it's like they just put J and E next to the big M that was their plan. And Sanders, I think, was very proud of his work with Gem. Gem fandom has found, like, he saved a local paper write-up about, like, local kid makes good, he designs toy line. And he passed away in 1990, and his tombstone has the Gem logo on it. Like, that's how proud he was of Gem, I think. Seems to be a single man who designed a toy line who died of pneumonia in 1990.
I see.
Make of that what you will, I'd say. So anyway, rest in peace, Bill Sanders. So, you know, keep in mind, too, this is like Cyndi Lauper and Madonna. The biggest hits, like 83 is like Holiday, Time After Time, Lucky Star, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. These are all the big hits of 83. She clearly is made to, like, be influenced by those guys. And so they sell the doll toys. They've got the whole plans made up. They interview Marks to make it up. They like all her work. She says, and she mentions why they hired her. They knew that they wanted to have some action in the show. The basic premise was, we have these holographic computers in her earrings. She's got a sister. She's got a friend. She's got a car, period. It's to go from there.
What do you need more? You got a girl, you got a gun.
I love the keywords
everything.
of hologram and holograph. I feel like we were obsessed with those ideas until about 1995.
Right. And a hologram could do anything. Well, yeah, this is just like a couple years before the introduction of the holodeck in Star Trek as well, right? That's why also, like, she brought in, she's like, okay, science. That's why characters have last names of, like, famous computer or other science backgrounds. Like Benton is a famous scientist, and that's Jerica's last name. Similar with the other ones. And she was given the photos of the prototypes of the first run of dolls. she comes up with the idea that, okay, she's got a double identity. Then her boyfriend, it'll be a Clark Kent Superman thing, that her boyfriend is in love with the one more than the other. And that also it's her idea that, like, well, Jerrica, if she just wants to be a famous singer, that's not that, noble. So that's where she brings in the philanthropy and the orphans into the
Yes.
mix too.
Starlight House.
If she was just addicted to fame, it would be kind of a vapid show, I guess.
Yeah, I was wondering what she does in her normal persona. Does she have 2 different bank accounts? What's going on?
Yeah.
Again, I was like, I love this like gender swapped Clark Kent, but part of like the funny thing about it to me is, there are reasons why a hero has to keep their identity secret to like protect those around them. Like she's like a rock star and she's like, oh, I'm worried that my boyfriend loves Jim more than me, but you're Jim, so just tell him, man. Like just tell him. Like, I mean, at a certain point I get it, you've done it too long and that's a whole extra issue. But we do these like flop TV streams for my own podcast, and I did a presentation about Jim where I postulated that part of it was that of course these streams are for adults rather than the Jim child audience, and I was postulating that she kind of got off on being both halves of a triangle. But
I mean, I think it is very like a teenager like complicates things needlessly in their life. That's though I do like it that it's kind of an 80s thing that's like, well, she's also like a businesswoman, like she's
Right.
not just a singer.
Everyone's got blazers on, unrelated.
I think, too, this wasn't in anything I could find, but I do think Christy Marks was pulling from the soap opera aspects do feel a little like Dynasty and Dallas that were the big shows at the time, like especially like the first 5 episodes, the origin story is her battling over ownership of Starlight Records with an evil executive who's trying to steal it from her. Just like a Dynasty or Dallas storyline, I am assuming. I actually, like Jem, I haven't watched many episodes of that either. But
no, that's an 80s thing that totally passed me by.
And so she writes a third of the scripts of the entire series and is the story editor for it too. And so, this is how it is. You got to write. They just write a bunch of scripts at once, though. They do first just commission 5 episodes as like a pilot program, like just as a test to see if they really want to commit to it. And they want music to be a huge part of it. They plan to sell the toys with a cassette included with songs from the show on it.
I was going to say that 5-episode season or initial beginning happened with Ninja Turtles, happened with G.I. Joe. They kind of start with a pilot movie broken up.
Yeah, and Transformers only had a 3-episode one, but similar deal. Yeah. In all cases, it's a business hedge on their part, I think. And Hasbro hired a lyricist, an internal lyricist, a professional guy with a Broadway background who would go on to be a Tony-nominated lyricist. Barry Harmon is his name and is a Harvard Lampoon alum. I think was in the same class as the Saturday Night Live legendary writer Jim Downey. I believe he's in the same class. He does several interviews with it. He's very proud of his Jem work. He does not see any shame in having written over 100 songs for the Jem TV show.
I mean, it's kind of astounding. I mean, they're all like 30 to, I don't know, like 90 seconds long maybe, but it's amazing that, yeah, it's very ambitious for a show like this to be like, okay, each episode is going to have 2 songs in it. Now, are some of those then repeated? Like at the end of this episode when supposedly they're doing a new song, but I, as a true Jem head, recognize that I'd heard this song before, and sure enough, it's from a season 1 episode, but it's a lot of material.
And I appreciate they at least animated a new music video when they reused a song.
Yes.
And he also talked about how he was proud of himself that he didn't like that so many pop songs back then were doing like fake rhymes or slanted rhymes. He said he's like looked up to Stephen Sondheim and he's like, I'm going to have true rhymes in all of these songs. I don't want to give kids a bad idea. He had also written for the Carol Burnett Show and All in the Family, so quite a background.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe and put you on the fast track to becoming debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Just visit nationaldebtrelief.com. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Let today be the day you start turning things around. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you may qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
And he'd later write for kid shows Allegra's Window and Clifford, the big red dog Clifford, not the classic.
Not Martin Short.
Not Martin Short. Was also writing the composers for most of the original songs. He was lyricist. The music was done by Ford Kinder and Ann Bryant, including the opening theme. And the art design also, another one you mentioned too, like Miami Vice is another one they pulled from too.
Wow. Yeah.
A big hot show then. Of all the animators that worked on it, one I really wanted to shout out was sequence director Will Mineo, because he pretty much was in charge of all of the music videos. Like, he was the guy who got to have his own little corner to be the music video guy on it. He said that some of his coworkers were jealous of him because he only had to work on like 3 minutes per episode, as far as the rest of the directors had to direct the whole rest, like other 18 minutes.
The aesthetic of this is so 80s, but like really kind of beautifully done stuff, but it is like extremely specific. And I think that, you know, now especially as the world saddens me and I take even more refuge in nostalgia, like I'm like, don't give me all this nonsense that Hollywood is throwing at me now to like pander to my nostalgia with like new things in that style, but do allow me to go back and just like soak in Jim and the Holograms.
Yeah, it really shows that, I mean, this is one of the most quintessentially 80s things that ever existed. You look at this, you say that's the 80s, and it really shows that the 80s did not truly arrive until 1986.
It's true.
Which is why I appreciate Stranger Things. I've only seen the first season, but it's the 80s, but it's also like orange and brown living rooms. It's not like neon and checkerboards and shiny Lamborghinis or anything like that. It shows like it took a while for the 80s to get here, and then they persisted until around 1993.
Exactly.
It's perfect that this debuted in like late 85, like right at the peak of the 80s. Yes. I also, when I watched the documentary and they're interviewing Mineo, I like stood up and clapped like a seal, because he said one of his major inspirations for how they animated it was the 80s anime series Urusei Yatsura, which is one of my favorites and like very underwatched in America. And for him to have seen it in the early 80s, before it was even like officially licensed in America, he had to be a hardcore anime fan to have seen that show. And if you know the openings and ending animations for that series, Urusei Yatsura, that you will recognize like visual themes and styles that he took from it. So that was really cool to hear. As well, he said he was very influenced by like all of the music videos of the early 80s, but he especially references the Cars video for You Might Think, which when I pulled that up, I was like, oh, yeah, totally.
They just removed the giant woman fetish.
Yes. In case you haven't seen the You Might Think video, listeners, that's the one with using a lot of blue screen fun. The cars are basically driving a woman insane by stalking her.
It's interesting. When I was watching the music videos in this, I thought, well, these are the same cheesy video effects you would see in a live action music video. The difference here is when you were asked to then animate those by hand, they suddenly become very expensive.
Yeah, there's so many like full turns, and budget-wise, this must have cost more than your average. Maybe as Mineo was able to convince him, like, hey, if you care about these music videos, you know, give up a little extra scratch than you'd pay on the... That's why the women are very static in a lot of the non-music video scenes, I think.
Yes.
A lot of sitting down and talking.
Or there's a part in this that I noticed, the specific episode we watched, where they're like hustling the billionaire somewhere, like a group of women, and like the cycle for like all of their legs looks exactly the same. Like they're just like walking in this clump thing. It looks like a grove of trees like walking together or something almost.
And Will Mineo worked on a lot of great stuff. He worked on the X-Men series from 92. He's been on kind of everything. I won't waste your time listening all of it. But he also worked on the comic DN Agents with Mark Evanier, which he co-created. He's an accomplished comic artist too. And he also in interviews is very quick to give credit to A lot of familiar names to us who worked as boarders on the music videos who really helped him out. The co-director of Shrek, Vicky Jensen, was boarder on some of the music videos, as was the series director of the Fantastic Four, Larry Houston, Frank Parr, and Boyd Kirkland, who would go on to be the Batman the Animated Series. Like, lots of great artists did very good work boarding on this. And you'll only see them as a pile of names at the end of this credit with no real focus on them. So also when they sent it to Toei, I think they totally understood what they were going for. Like, oh yeah, make this like anime openings you guys are doing for the Japanese market. Though apparently after the first season, I was shocked at this in the documentary. Like, the producer on the show, Jay Bacall, he says like they had to send one of their artists over to the studio in Japan to tell them to not draw it too anime in their words and like get the faces closer to the toy faces. Like, they were getting too anime in the first season. There's a couple times in this episodes where like somebody has a big reaction and I feel like they were toned down in the drawing and could have been more fun animation, but the Japanese artists were told like, oh, that's too fun, better make it more boring.
But I think I saw it specifically in, like, when the billionaire kind of throws a tantrum, and I'm like, this looks so anime to me, the way he is gesticulating about the thing upsetting him.
He was only missing a big sweat drop
Yes.
in that scene.
His neck, like, grows twice its length as he, like, jumps up. Yeah. Quick bit about some of the voice actors in here. Got Jim and Jerrica are both voiced by Samantha Newark. She didn't have a huge career after this. She was just, like, a new actress then. Most people are in their late teens, early 20s doing the voices for it. Then Marvel regulars like Michael Sheehan as Rio and Susan Blue as Stormer. And then you've got Patricia Alice Albrecht, the late Patricia Alice Albrecht as Pizzazz. And the big one I wanted to point out was the villain of the show, or the big bad above Pizzazz, is Eric Raymond. He is voiced by Charlie Adler, who's getting one of his first gigs in voice acting right after he had been in the critically acclaimed role in the Torch Song trilogy, the Broadway play.
Well, then there's the singing voice of Jim, had her own, like, actual music career, I saw.
Yes, Britta Phillips, young lady. They hired her, like, oh, try out for this, and she auditioned for it, singing the Gem theme song, and it was so good, they just used it as the show. Like, Britta Phillips would complain, we could have done a second take. I didn't know this was going to be one.
I'm sure we'll get to him, but I did hear Rob Paulson in this episode, in probably one of his earliest voice roles.
Yes, yeah. Actually, in limited roles, all 4 Ninja Turtles appear throughout the Gem series. Yes. As we discussed in our Inhumanoids What a Cartoon, by 85, Hasbro was they were doing great with G.I. Joe and Transformers, so with all their new capital, they decided they would do, like, basically 4 pilots at once and present them as the 5 episodes then split up into an anthology show and then see what hit the best. And so you had Gem premiering at the same time as Inhumanoids, which was about gross, goopy monsters. Robotics, which was about toys you like build. They're like, what if you built a Transformer? And Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines, which was the preceding Bigfoot cartoon to the Bigfoot cartoon, Bob, you just covered on Retronauts.
That's right. Bigfoot is one of the power team in the very little watched cartoon / live action show Video Power.
Yes, yeah. Bigfoot finally teams up with one of the mass murdering cops from Narc. They're good.
And a basketball player from Arch Rivals.
Yes. They commissioned essentially 5 episodes and then cut those into 7-minute chunks, more like 5-ish minute chunks. And then those become like 15 episodes. And so this was the challenge for Marks, especially in the first 5 episodes. She was told this has to be sold to girls, but it will air between 2 boy cartoons. So if you make something that a boy doesn't like, then you've failed. She was told by executives, if it's a boy and a girl in the house, the boy controls the remote control and won't let his sister keep it on the channel. So it has to be something a boy won't change the channel from. So that's why there's often confusing action sequences that just come out of nowhere. Like you said, the Misfits try to kill them many times.
On the one hand, like, that's terrible, like, gendered Hollywood thought. On the other hand, I think it sort of inadvertently gets to something kind of great and interesting where it's like, yeah, like, let's make something that breaks down these gender walls that you will watch, before or after G.I. Joe or whatever it is. That's part of what I like about it, I think.
Although I will say the remote control rules of engagement change when you have an older sister who will kick your ass. She was in control.
Yeah, I believe that.
It is funny that a very gendered, you could say closed-minded way of thinking actually leads them to make a show that ends up being like defying gender norms by trying to answer to two different ideas of what boys and girls like. So Mark's had the show have like car chases and big action sequences, but then also like credit to her, she has to fit in like, okay, this has to have action sequence, but also like girl emotional soap opera stuff and a minute or two for a music video in each segment. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So Jem must have done the best of those cartoons, even working against it being the girl cartoon in the middle of two boy cartoons. So they very quickly ordered 21 more episodes to bring the first season to really 26. And ultimately, it would get to the 65 that, must be allotted to be a strip show, which means you have enough episodes to show 5 episodes a week for 13 weeks, 4 times a year in a cycle. That's why you usually end up with 65 for a successful show.
And then nothing else ever again.
Yes.
That's it.
If you get more than 65, like say like Ghostbusters or He-Man got in the 80s, that shows you were like a phenomenon, not just successful. As the show expanded, that's when they added more characters like Video and Clash and Dance to the show. The band's also expanded by one member. Jetta joined the Misfits and Raya joined the Holograms. I'll give them credit, too, for diversity of the group. Like Kimber and Jerica are white. Then there's Shauna, who is black, and then the Asian-American Aja, and then Raya, who's Latina. So I would bet in a cynical attempt to demographically cover all possible girls who would buy toys, but still.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Asian character being called Aja. It's like you're saying Asia with a toothache.
That's true.
It's like the Steely Dan album, right?
Maybe it was a tribute to Steely Dan. There.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, you should also know she knows karate, so she's not all these stereotypes you would expect, right? I want to mention the Barbie angle, too, because this is very fascinating to me. The most I knew about Jem's creation was the Barbie side of things before this. Dan, have you watched Netflix Toys That Made Us, the Toys That Made Us doc series?
I've watched 1 or 2, yeah.
They are fun, if frustratingly edited. I hate they interview all the right people, and they edit it to garbage. I hate Bob and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
They did Barbie. And in the Barbie one, just one segment of it is, and in the 80s, what did Barbie do? And the biggest story for Barbie in the 80s is fighting against Jem. And so in the Barbie doc, they're talking to the mostly female executives who are in charge of the Barbie brand. And one of them especially, her name is Judy Shackelford. She was the exec in charge. Yes, Rusty Shackelford's wife.
Now that's a fake name. She's ordering pizzas with that name.
So Judy Shackelford, she gets an insider tip that Hasbro is coming to challenge them with a new toy line that'll go to the Barbie market. And she learns it's going to be a rock star. And so she says she calls together a war council, that's what she calls it, to be like, guys, like, we got 4 months to beat them to market. Like, we got to do this. And so they basically just pick and choose old musical instrument accessories they had for Barbie, old outfits, and kind of Frankenstein together a Barbie toy line that they could also package with cassettes inside it. It's called Barbie and the Rockers, and they get it out by Christmas '85. And Judy Shackelford is in the doc, like, basically, like, laughing to herself, like, yep, kids thought that Jem was ripping off Barbie because we beat him to the market. She was so proud of what they did.
Wow.
That's also extra funny because then I come across LA Times did a whole story in 1986 of, can Jem defeat Barbie? Barbie getting challenged at all that stuff. And in it, Mattel denied that the rockers were done for Barbie. Like, they said the total opposite. They're like, quote from an executive at Mattel, it would have been impossible to bring something out by the time we could confirm a rumor of that magnitude. We introduced it because rock and roll is a big trend. Our rocker dolls were in production long before we ever heard of Jem.
Wow.
And then I saw that they brought a Barbie and the Rockers animated special to the market, a few of them.
Yes, I think Mattel definitely saw, like, if Jem was going to challenge them at a TV show as well, then they were going to have to invest in their own cartoon. But I guess budget-wise, it just was, like, too much for them to pay for a full 65 episodes of Barbie. They didn't go beyond the special.
I'm flipping through it now on YouTube. It is also very, very anime, this Barbie and the Rockers thing. And also almost indistinguishable from Jem. That's the important thing here.
Well, there you go. 80s kids, cartoons were lying to you. Toys were lying to you. They were out and out just Just bald-faced lying.
Oh, also, it's funny. Speaking of lying, like in the LA Times article, they go like, some people say they're launching the cartoon to sell the toys. It's like they have to put it behind like a some people say. We can't be sure they're launching this Hasbro cartoon to sell toys, but maybe. And you know what? It works out. Jem does sell pretty all right. This is also from the LA Times piece that Jem was number 10 of most sold toys around that Christmas, which is good, but Barbie was 3, only behind G.I. Joe and Pound Puppies in 1986. Those were apparently the number 1 and 2. Like they said, Jem never got bigger than that. Like, I think you can look back on it as Barbie quashed Jem. Like, Mattel defeated Hasbro this time.
Wow. That jerk.
They came at the king and they did miss.
Yeah.
The Jem branding did try to take a swing at Barbie, saying like Barbie is vapid. Barbie can be anything, which makes her nothing. And here's an actual real quote. They said, Jem really has a social conscience. Her world is not about shopping and dating. She is a working girl, a woman of the 80s. She's an executive. She makes decisions. She has a lot of pressure.
I mean, it's not really a fair fight, I guess, if you're like putting up like we have a character that we have a premise behind, and then versus like a doll where the idea is like whatever, whatever you want.
You're not seeing all of the all hands meetings Jem is having behind the scenes.
After that, LA Times did do another piece in 87 as well. I was able to dig up where they said that another indicator of sales, the cassette for Truly Outrageous that came with many of the dolls, were it counted as record sales, it would have been a triple platinum song because they sold 3 million copies, the LA Times reported. So they expand in the second season. They do even more bigger stories. This is the second season where we're in here, and that's when they expand the toy line too. They even asked Christy Marks to come up with some ideas for some new toy members of the team. Christy Marks also said that there were talks that they could have done a film as well. She did a treatment for what a film could have been like, but as we talked about in the Transformers one, that film did so poorly and upset children so much that Hasbro was like, no more cartoons. I mean, would they have murdered Jem at the start of their cartoon and then have her replaced?
Orson Welles plays Rio.
They do work on a third season, though, and then they follow the same premise that G.I. Joe and Transformers did too, and He-Man, of like, well, this is season 3. They've beat Skeletor or Cobra Commander so many times. We need new villains. And so that's when they bring in the Stingers. Dan, how much do you know of the Stingers?
So even though I have, presented myself as such a Jem head, I know that I watched this show at the time, and now I've been like going through it and revisiting it, but I'm not into that period yet. So whatever might be buried in there, I don't have at the forefront.
Well, the Stingers are okay. They're kind of like a gray area band. They're not as outright evil as Pizzazz. Also, the lead singer of the Stingers is a guy. He's kind of a romantic rival for Rio as well, the Stingers. So, yeah, it sells pretty okay, but there must have been diminishing returns on it because they do an 87 wave as well. And then they actually do promote what would have been like a next wave in a toy line for 88. But that's when Hasbro pulls it back. There's prototype toys that are not released, and they don't make any new episodes of Jem after 65. And Christy Marks and everybody else move on to new projects after that, as the Turtles are really taken over in 1987 and 88. It's there's no space for Jem and the holograms when the Turtles hit the scene.
Yeah, get out of here. Ninjas have taken over.
Jem and the holograms went where all cartoons go to die, the USA Cartoon Express.
I probably saw a lot of it on there.
I bet that's where I saw it more. And same with that, I probably would have been like, oh, Scooby-Doo's over. Now, Jem, I'm all right. Click.
And then it was the Teenage Pebbles and Bam Bam show after that, probably.
Oof. Yeah, those were right.
No thanks.
Fred and Barney and the Shmoo as cops. But you know what? Like with Transformers and G.I. Joe, one of the first online fandoms are Jem and the Holograms fans. They keep it alive with a dedicated fandom that gets so big that they're able to start fan conventions called GemCon. And GemCon's been going on since 2005, which, give or take a pandemic, has not missed a year. They just had their 20th, well, maybe not their 20th GemCon. I forget if it was like a digital one in 2020 or online one, but GemCons keep going. It's all the voice actors and writers and all that love going to GemCon and meeting the fans. It is a healthy fandom of Jem and the Holograms. And the rekindled nostalgia of the 80s led to the DVD release that Shout Factory did of the entire series with a lot of new interviews. And, keep in mind as well, in the late aughts, early 2010s, what are the biggest movies going on right now? The Transformers. Like, Hasbro is ruling the box office with Transformers, and they make a mid-G.I. Joe movie. Well, honestly, G.I. Joe and the Transformers movies, I'd say, are equally shitty, but somehow G.I. Joes didn't make half as much money as Transformers.
And then there's like 2 other secret G.I. Joe movies, right? After they made that first one?
Yes. I think they're up to 4 now.
Oh.
Yeah, they've got Snake Eyes, which is like
Yeah.
kind of spin-off. Like, we're just going to focus on one. Rise of Cobra.
Right.
Is that the second one?
Okay, so 3. Just 3. You're right.
Yeah.
Just 3,
Yeah.
Rise of Cobra is such a funny one. I only saw pieces of it. I did see the first G.I. Joe movie in theaters. Same with, they tricked me with the first Transformers movie. I didn't watch any of the others in theaters. I've only seen clips. Same with G.I. Joe. Though I heard, funnily enough, in the first G.I. Joe, Channing Tatum's like the main guy in it. And then in the second G.I. Joe movie, they want to divest from Channing Tatum and they're going to kill him off. But then by the time the movie comes out, Channing Tatum's actually very popular. So they unkill his character in the movie. Like, they shoot new scenes, be like, oh, actually, he's not dead. He'll come back for a third movie. I mean, that's why then they did just Snake Eyes as his own movie afterwards. They're like, all right, people really just like this, like, white ninja. Let's just go with it.
Are you leading up to, of course, the Jim live-action picture?
Yes. So the director of the second G.I. Joe movie, John M. Chu, who would go on to nothing famous after that at all. He also had directed 2 Justin Bieber concert films. So, G.I. Joe plus Justin Bieber concert films makes sense you'd hire him to make a Jem movie, I would think. So he's hired, except it will have basically, I think the cost of having one special effect in a Transformers movie was the entire budget they gave to the Jem and the Holograms film.
Yeah, we did this on my podcast where we, talk about bad movies, or at least movies purported to be bad. It has basically flown from my mind, but I know that I've seen the whole picture. Isn't like Synergy kind of like a little robot in it rather than like a hologram computer?
Yes.
And they get rid of most of the stuff that makes Jim silly and fun. And on the one hand, I get like the Hollywood thinking of like, this is too silly. We're making a movie. We can't have it be silly like this cartoon Jim. But at the same time, it's like, well, what the hell else are you doing this for? Like, the small portion of the population that is clamoring for a Jim movie is going to be mad at you.
Also, I think the biggest issue here, I'm seeing the Wikipedia page, it's 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Why does the Jem movie need to be as long as Star Wars? This has all of the markings of 85 minutes.
Yes.
We're in, we're out, we have fun with Jem, that's it. I don't understand like how this could possibly last 2 hours long. I don't think I'll ever find out.
Yes. I mean, once you take away like the holographic suit and the transforming thing from it, then how is it not Hannah Montana at that point? And I say this having not seen Hannah Montana, but if you take away the sci-fi element, instead it's like, I can understand the pitch they had was, well, that was for the 80s, and now kids just get viral doing like, a YouTube, they upload their song to YouTube in 2014, so she'll just do that under an assumed name, and she's trying to keep her name a secret and all that. Like, that was kind of the angle on it, but also just, again, budget-wise, they can't, all of the glamour and glitter of the cartoon, that's not in the budget for a $5 million movie. The film also was off to a rocky start with fans because, like, I think people, obviously, they asked Christy Marks and other people about it, like, hey, what do you think of this? And they just go like, well, they certainly didn't ask me for help on this or anything. And so you're instantly getting bad buzz with the fandom. You do that, too. That's why Michael Bay knew to feed babies like me the slop of like, we hired the original voice of Optimus Prime in this. Give it a chance. We care about these cartoons.
And Spock is here against his will, but still, we've got him until he's dead.
Though Christy Marks must have made up with them at some point. She does do like a Stan Lee type cameo in the movie itself. So they got some more positive press out of that. But too little too late. Film just like did very poorly. It was a Blumhouse production, which I think is why like Hasbro handed it to Blumhouse. Like, you can make this cheap like you make a horror movie, right? We don't need to spend a lot of money like we do on G.I. Joe and Transformers. But that cheapness led to people didn't take it very seriously. It just got dumped into theaters. It did not make back its budget. It is like, and if they piss off the fans, but also don't even get the younger demographic that they were going for by pissing off the fans. And then their greatest indignity was being covered and roasted by the Flophouse podcast in 2016. Yes.
Juliette Lewis never worked again.
That's right.
I think, too, from reading the wiki, in a very MCU way, the post-credit scene is like, we're looking for a band called the Misfits. Who could they? Yes, right?
Yeah. Don't save it for the next movie. You're not going to have a good this movie. Like, just put it in.
The one positive from the timing of that, it did lead to a new comic series published by IDW came out in the mid-aughts, timed for it, which was much more positively received, that updated the premise for, the post-Steven Universe, aughts of more queer-friendly. All the colors were still there, but more diverse body types too in it. And that it is actually progressive, including there are queer and trans members of the bands. It's a gayer book written by Kelly Thompson. The artist was Sophie Campbell. I read a few of those issues. Check out the first 6 or 12 of it. I remember it being pretty good. I mean, honestly, when I was reading it, I was like, why is this not the cartoon? Adapt this into cartoon, guys. Though I think that led to Hasbro putting Jem back on ice for a decade. Now, last year in 2025, for the 40th anniversary of the premiere of Jem, they did put out an anniversary album, like an LP release of a bunch of the best of songs in it. Plus, they made $50 toys to sell to the mature collector of characters.
Oh, the mature collector. Well, very sophisticated.
Little girls can't know how to properly change Jerrica into Jem like I would.
Now they're little women.
Jem and the Holograms, the original series, is very available. It's on YouTube. It's on Tubi. It's on most of the free with ads places. So if Hasbro wanted to give it another try, even the people who remember Jem are now too old. If they wait too long, it'll be the grandchildren of original Jem fans are going to be the ones watching a new Jem.
Yeah.
But Hasbro never lets any IP die, so I wouldn't bet against them bringing it back. As for Christy Marks, she stays, even into her early 70s, she still stayed pretty active as a writer in animation and video games. She actually wrote for Sierra Online. She was early in the MMO market. She wrote Conquest of Camelot, a very early MMO, and was a head writer or some title that means you're the head writer at Zynga. She worked at Zynga for many years too, so...
Yeah, I'm impressed by what a Renaissance woman she is, because she did some comics too, it looks like.
Oh, lots of comics, yeah. She wrote for DC Books in the mid-aughts as well. She is an accomplished comic writer, though I also think that when she wrote for DC, Dan DiDio, who was the head of DC Comics then, he was getting roasted in the press for how few women worked at DC Comics. And so he was like, what women do I know? Well, I worked with one in the 80s named Christy Marks. He was not finding new female writers to write for DC. He was just finding his old buddy Christy Marks, who did do a good job. But I noted that at the time. It's I think they're a little better at giving opportunities to women at DC.
I was about to be like, Hasbro, I'm not working. Get me to reboot Jem for you. But you know what? It should be a woman. So get me to be on the rebooted Jem fronted by a woman show. I'll be a staff writer. I don't care. I'll work on Jem.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, do we think that 80s nostalgia is finally coming to an end? We're going to have 3 more years of the 80s villain as president. Everyone reacted very poorly to the end of Stranger Things. Are we done with this for now? I'm just curious.
I mean, I hope so. Because when it first started coming around, I'm like, great. It's my turn. It's my turn to be pandered to. I swallowed all this boomer crap growing up. Now I get to revisit this dumb stuff that was important to me. But now it's such an empty feeling experience. I'm like, move on. New blood.
80s nostalgia officially started with the film The Wedding Singer, which I think was 97 or 98. So we've had almost 30 years of 80s nostalgia at this point.
Yeah.
We all loved watching I Love the 80s too, I'm sure. But having a decade of the most 80s man ever be our president has really made me hate the 80s as well. That's for sure. I mean, all of the 80s things that were all of the 80s music in the final seasons of Stranger Things, the last episode of Stranger Things hit so many 80s songs, the final episode, all these hits. And I loved hearing, but I was a little okay, I've had enough of this. I've had enough.
Yeah.
Hey, at least Kate Bush got to make big paycheck. Or maybe she just made $100 from the 8 million Spotify streams.
I mean, God bless her. I mean, what a wonderful, strange thing to have happen to you, to be a weird, arty singer who was, a sensation in England. Couldn't be bigger, but never broke through over here, and then just late in life to be and now here's an explosion for you. Here, Kate Bush, here, take this.
That's the history of Jem and the Holograms to date. We shall see if it could ever come back. But why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we'll talk about The Fan.
Glamour and glitter, fashion and fame. Jem is truly outrageous. Truly, truly, truly outrageous. Whoa, Jem, the music's contagious. Outrageous. Jem is my name, no one else is the same. Jem is my name. We're the Misfits, our songs are bitter. We are the Misfits, and we're gonna get her. Jem, the music's contagious. Outrageous. Jem is my name, no one else is the same. Jem is my name.
Jem will be right back after these messages.
She's Jem, the truly outrageous rock star. Glittering, glamorous.
All right! This is gonna be outrageous! Showtime synergy!
Jem and the Holograms take to the stage to outsmart their musical rivals, the Misfits.
We're on top of the world!
Jem rocks. This afternoon at 5:30.
Jem is my name, no one else is the same. Jem is my name. Jem is truly outrageous. Truly, truly, truly outrageous.
She's Jem, the most glamorous rock star ever.
Check out Jem's clothes.
No one puts on a hotter concert, but only Jem's friends know she's also Jerica, president of Starlight Music.
I love her outfit.
With her Gem Star earrings, Jerica converts in a fashion flash to Jem.
She's wild. Gem Star earrings are the ultimate. Jem is truly outrageous.
Jem comes with microphone and Jerica outfit from Hasbro.
Jem. Me and my friends are Jem girls.
It's the hottest act on TV today. Jem is making bigger waves than ever before. The word is out. It's a full 5 days of rock and romance and high-flying adventure. She's got great new songs and hot new styles. Don't miss a beat of Jem's weekday excitement. Jem's the one.
Come on and be a Jem girl.
Jem, today at 5 on Channel 46.
And now, back to Jem.
Me and my friends are Jem girls. Jem is my name. Exciting adventure, fashion and fame. Once you're a Jem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Jem girl. Jem is my name. Me and my friends are Jem girls. Jem is my name. Truly outrageous, that's a Jem girl. Glamour, fashion and fame. Exciting adventure, fashion and fame. Once you're a Jem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Jem girl. Jem is my name. Jem.
All right, we are coming back in. I don't care. I made the going into the break the second Jem song, the Jem Girl song. I wanted us to come in with the real Jem and the Hologram song, the
Thank you,
original
Henry.
theme. This Jem Girl song, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But,
It feels like I'm being directly recruited to buy the products.
yeah, it feels like they thought the original one wasn't aggressive enough of just like, okay, this isn't just about Jem saying how cool she is. This is like, you're a Jem girl and you're never going to be the same. Buy fucking gems. Buy them. Be a Jem.
You need to adopt the lifestyle.
Yes. You can't just admire Jem from afar. You have to be part of it.
Now, I want to say up front here, I didn't know what the premise of this episode was, and I know we're all thinking it, or at least I am. This entire episode is like that scene from Burns' Air in which Burns is coaching the actors to act like the Simpsons in order to fool Bart. Except in this case, Bart is on the set with the actors, so it's even crazier. Jem doesn't say Bo.
That is the best comparison. You know, you mentioned Batman the Animated Series before, that some like storyboarders were shared. At least one writer that, you know, crosses over, and Audrey, my wife, was like, oh, this reminds me of a Batman the Animated Series episode, which she then like made me watch, which was like the Mad Hatter tricks Batman into thinking that he's, you know, living a life where he's just Bruce Wayne and isn't Batman. And the funny thing about that one is it's like, that was not even interested in discovering who Batman is. He literally has Batman on a table and never thinks to like take his mask off. It's just to get Batman out of the way. But that's what she came up with. And obviously, like you mentioned, Mark's had her own like prisoner style episode of G.I. Joe before. Like, this draws on a lot of traditions, I think.
The one we covered for What a Cartoon, the G.I. Joe episode, something Springfield.
Yeah, no place like Springfield.
Yeah.
That's one,
I recall everything was made out of goo. And they could form into whatever kind of people they wanted in order to fool the Jack Nicholson impression man who ended up
Yes.
there.
In that one, similar to this, in that one, Shipwreck knows a secret plan. He wakes up from a coma to be told, like, no, we defeated Cobra. Now it's peacetime. Everything's fine. And he basically becomes like a Vietnam vet who goes like, no, you're all trying to kill me. No.
Yes.
He sits him screaming the whole time.
We'll get to it. I have some burning questions because I know Mr. Burns was on a TV set. I know the Jack Nicholson guy was in Goo World. I really want to know where the identical Starlight Mansion is they built. Completely one for one. Everything is identical in order to fool Jim.
There's like one establishing shot where like it's literally next to a parking lot, which is really funny. Like they found, I don't know, just some like dilapidated part of town where the billionaire made an exact replica of this thing.
That Batman episode, we covered that one on our podcast too.
I think it's Perchance to Dream. I was also thinking of the episode Much Darker, His Silicon Soul, in which we think we're following Batman. The reveal is it's actually a robot who thinks he's Batman, who has to understand he's not real. And it's all about existential dread.
It like opens with Batman being shot in the chest. Then it's revealed, oh no, it was a robot. That episode, the Perchance to Dream one, I wasn't even thinking of that one. I love that one, especially. It was one of Kevin Conroy's like favorite like to do, like his big speech. As basically he talks himself into potentially committing suicide up out of a dream. He jumps to what could be his death to wake himself up. He says, I'll see you in my nightmares. Okay, so the writer of this episode is Beth Bornstein Dunnington. She was a regular on the Hasbro shows then, and she has her own website where she is still being a writing coach for other writers. Lives in Hawaii, also likes to put on performing arts workshops in Hawaii, and it seems like she's living a pretty nice life. She wrote for a ton of cartoons of the 80s into the 90s, G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, Jem. Into the 90s, she also wrote for Batman and for Doug. If I give you the description of the episodes, she wrote the episode Eternal Youth of Batman, where Poison Ivy has a spa that's turning people into trees. A pretty silly episode, that one. And she wrote the Doug half of an episode of Doug, where Doug has a crazy grandma. Remember that one, Bob?
Oh, yes. She made him try sushi, right?
That's right, yes. His wild grandma
Crazy.
who drives a motorcycle. And also she wrote several episodes of Tiny Toons that were kind of crummy. Drooly Davy, which I had to look up the picture of it. It was like Elmira's baby brother who drools all the time. Drooly Davy. Forgotten.
He was
Tiny
never
Toon.
popular.
So we have the intro that also, they chop up the perfect animation, the rotoscoped animation of like singing and dancing to replace it with like some clips from episodes. Nobody had answers for this. Somebody on a Reddit for Jem floated this theory that doesn't sound impossible to me, that they cut out the part of the Misfits from the song where it sounded like they were like the Misfit toys were selling better than Jem toys, or they didn't want to promote Misfits as part of the opening and get rid of them and just have it only be about Jem.
That to me is the biggest loss. I mean, other than, you know, the one thing that people who don't remember Jem remember about Jem is that she's truly outrageous, truly, truly, truly outrageous. And that's not in the song, so that's a mistake. But also, yeah, to lose the Misfits right up front, breaking in with our own song, like the great thing. And it's like, no, we want something blander.
Our songs are better. I just love it. It's atonal to it. They're punks. They're like, yeah, it's so much more fun. No, they still keep in the like, in the original one when she goes like, Jem is my name and throws up her hand, like it's such a cool thing. Though it does feel like they're kind of just ripping off the song Fame from the movie Fame and the TV show, which was also named Fame. So the episode begins properly, though, coming in on the Misfits with a song that is heavily reused in the show that is kind of like their unofficial intro song for them, Making Mischief. We're making mischief. And Pizzazz is doing the 80s version of checking social media for The Person You Hate, which is reading the newspaper and finding fans of Jem.
Reading the obituaries.
Did Jem finally die? Oh, no, not yet. Pizzazz comes across an ad from extremely desperate fan who identifies himself, who says he wants to know the secret identity of Jem, like he's the biggest fan.
Now, I want to talk about this because there's some earlier episodes in this season where other people are like talking about Jem having a secret identity and wanting a secret identity. Maybe I missed something. I could easily be wrong. Like, I don't remember in the first season anyone being like, what's Jim's secret identity? Because, like, why would you think Jim has a secret identity? Why would anyone, like, wouldn't everyone just be like, oh, yeah, that rock star, Jim, who's Jim all the time, 24 hours a day, she's Jim. Like, what is making the public clamor, like, who is Jim really? I don't understand.
It feels like now suddenly it's a world where stage names don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who's Madonna when she's not on stage? Like, she's still Madonna. You're not questioning that. Like, yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I didn't look through the descriptions of every episode. In the first season, there is one where Eric Raymond does $100,000 like ransom for like find out her secret identity, pay $100,000. But it was mainly done as just a way for her to like get no privacy and be basically stalked so she'll miss a concert.
Right.
And then the Misfits will get to do it instead. But yeah, the Pizzazz definitely thinks like, well, this will ruin Jem if, I mean, in general, the Misfits just want to destroy them however they can. Kill them, destroy their weapon stuff, kidnapping, and libel. Like, nothing is beneath Pizzazz and her accounts.
I'm kind of worried about this billionaire, though. He seems very unstable. We don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like once he finds out that information, sinister things will happen. And I assume that they were going to draw him palming a gun at the end of the episode when he's in the concert.
They bend over backward to make this guy an innocent when he really is not.
You won't acknowledge my love, Jim.
So Pizzazz says, come on, let's go meet the millionaire. I love her delivery of that, too.
Yes. This is like, there's something special about 80s cartoons. Like, this is actually kind of like less grating than most of them, where it's like, can't anyone talk like a human being? No, you must all have irritating voices. You must be screaming at all times. It must be abrasive.
It sounds like they're having a lot of fun, though, doing these character voices. And they're not destroying their voices like someone who would do the voice of Starscream would destroy their voice.
Yes.
That and a lot of acting powder led him to an early grave.
Yes. And we were talking about influences, Miami Vice, Patrick Nagel, anime. Also, one influence I think is very subtle is the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, which was all about usually people in Los Angeles, how they live. It was profiles of wealthy people and what they did with their day and how opulent their living situations were. So I was thinking of that when we cut from one mansion to another mansion in this episode.
Right, yeah. We started the Misfits mansion and then go to Wentworth's mansion, and then later we'll be at double mansions of the Starlight House.
That's true. There are 4 mansions in this episode. Each one more identical than the last.
Yeah, call it multiple mansions.
But yeah, that show started in 84, so I feel like the impact is there. They're drawing from that when it comes to let's depict their very glamorous lifestyle in Beverly Hills.
It is so 80s. Like, it pulls in so many 80s-y things. Well, also, when they're asking the Japanese animators to imitate that style, too, like, American pop and Western pop, because like from Europe too, was really big in Japan as well. Like, that's why, you know, one of my favorite things on YouTube is to put on just like search the word city pop playlist, where you just get like all of these 80s and 90s songs from Japan that was, you know, a lot of them inspired by what was popular music, the US or the UK as well. And they're really great. So we head over to the rich guy's mansion. That's where they hear the doorbell in the opening clip. And let's see the Misfits meet this desperate fan in our first clip.
Well, let's not waste any time. I've got the money, and I can't wait to know. Who is she?
Who?
With Jem, of course.
Her. Well, we don't really know yet, but if you give us some time...
You don't know? But why did you come? No! You said you knew! No! You said...
What a brat! Yeah, but with that brat, we can ruin Jem. Let's talk, Prescott.
What are you doing?
We don't know Jem's identity yet, Prescott, but we do have a plan.
But I got my hopes up and everything. A plan?
That's right. If you'll front the money for the whole operation, we'll get you Jem's real name.
Well, what kind of operation?
You know, I feel like I'll be pointing out some other flaws in the Misfits plan as we go along. But the first and most primary one is like, I'm not really sure why Pizzazz is like, if we know Jim's secret identity, that will ruin her. It's like, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks in the middle there, but...
Yeah, it's like with Batman, if people know he's Bruce Wayne, then Batman cannot exist anymore. If people find out Jem is a person, she can still perform as Jem.
Yes.
And also it's like, well, Spider-Man or Batman or whoever, they're doing things that are illegal by being vigilantes. So they'd be arrested. Jem is not doing, it may be tax fraud based on how she's paying herself.
That's right. Yeah, she's her own manager. There's some issues there probably.
Yes, that's Rob Paulson, one of his earlier roles. He's just getting started in voice acting in the mid-'80s as Prescott A. Wentworth III. With his name, I take him as old money. So he's an old money nerd as opposed to, 10 years later, even 5 years later, they would probably write this guy as like a computer, then internet billionaire who's using it for that, Similar fandoms. I would assume this is how Grimes met Elon Musk in a similar situation.
What is Grimes' real name?
Janet Jackson, Rihanna, Mariah Carey, they've all dated billionaires. Like occasionally a pop star will date a billionaire. Though now it's pop stars become billionaires. This whole thing with Jem and Jerrica, her being like her own manager and running the business, that's just what like Beyonce and Taylor Swift just like do now. Like that just is the business. Like they're their own crooked manager and that's how they end up as billionaires.
It's a lesson to learn, kids.
It's also funny too that Prescott is such a huge fan of Jem and recognizes the Misfits when he sees them, but trusts them implicitly when you would think Jem's biggest fan would know that the Misfits hate her.
It is an odd bedfellows situation.
I guess he is mentally unstable for sure, at least a dullard, I'd say. Now this turns into one of those comic books where Lex Luthor or Lois Lane tries to prove Clark Kent and Superman are the same, or just like, I'll get Superman to admit his secret identity to me if I pretend I'm dying, or one of those plot lines. So the gaslighting begins in the next scene. Though Prescott says he doesn't want to upset Jem in any way. He would rather die than hurt Jem.
That line sent chills up my spine.
Her value is 3 times mine at least.
Though for a guy who doesn't want her to be upset in any way, he sits out a lot of upset from Jem for a while there.
Yeah.
So we cut to Jem leaving her offices. So at the Starlight Records that she both owns and is the top talent in. And I don't know, it's exactly, I'm no fashion expert. Her top looks like kind of the bustier style tops that like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper were popularizing at the time, maybe. Or in the drawing of it, it at least reminds me of that. That almost seems too risque, though, for a kid's cartoon. She's picked up by a limo driver she's never met before, which Jem's a little too trusting here, I'd say. And the gaslighting of Jem begins in our next clip.
Jem?
Yes?
Kimber Benton sent me to drive you back to Starlight Mansion. She said to tell you that it's part of your birthday present.
It's not my birthday.
I just follow Kimber's instructions.
All right, but this is crazy. Excuse me, but are you going in the right direction?
This is a shortcut.
I can't understand why Kimber would do this. She knows it's not my birthday.
When is your birthday?
June 1st. Not that it's important.
June 1st, huh? That makes you a Gemini. Dual personality.
Right.
Audrey was watching this with me, and she's like, oh, Jem's a Gemini like you. That's why you like her. I thought this was so funny, this line of like, it's a shortcut. Because, so, Jerrica's being very trusting here. But maybe you could believe, like, oh, yeah, sure, a shortcut at the beginning of the ride. I'm just wondering what happened at the other end of that ride where it's like, well, we're not in the neighborhood where Starlight Mansion is, but here we are at Starlight Mansion.
And, the adjacent buildings are different.
Yes.
The address is different.
Whoever this limo driver is, he's doing a better job than most of the other people they've hired for this. Like, he already got good information out of her that I feel like already would tell them that Jerrica, that has to be Jerrica's birthday too, right? And eventually you'd be like, well, wait, if she shares a birthday with Jerrica, you start putting things together.
Yeah, and that's the only plausible reason they would have tried this birthday gambit anyway. Like, if they want her to correct them and be like, and they get the birthday, because otherwise it's like, this is a big swing to be like, hey, this is for your birthday. And for her to be like, it's not my birthday. Like, so much of what they try to do doesn't make sense as a way of getting information out of her, because clearly so much of it is wrong that, we'll talk about it, but later they do like a little "this is your life" video, which obviously is all wrong. And it's like, so what's the idea here? I guess you're trying to make her think she's going crazy because then she's more pliable and might blurt something out. I don't know.
We see the surveillance the driver is doing in that he has a reel-to-reel recorder, which takes up a third of his dashboard. So if Jem just scooted forward a little bit, she would see the rolling tapes.
Yeah, Jem's not very observant. She doesn't see that she's being recorded by the stranger. Who's plying her for information. She doesn't notice that this is not the same place where her mansion is, though. Okay, this is a mansion redone 1-to-1 to the point that it can fool the person who lives there, like who built it. Like, that's how perfect it is.
Every one of her possessions was duplicated.
Yes. I mean, this had to cost Prescott millions. In 80s dollars, tens of millions.
And I know actors are hungry, but these folks are breaking the law, so I assume they're being paid a lot. We have the chauffeur, we have the Jem girl stand-ins, and then you mentioned that This Is Your Life video. Those are all 3 different actors of Jem at different states in her life. They're not using AI in 1987.
Oh, man, they spent... Oh, and also, I guess the orphans, they are actors too, right? The little girls who's like, Jem, it's your birthday.
Yes.
Come in. God, and child actors, those cost the most. They're expensive.
They all have realistic Hollywood quality masks on to look like, her friends and relations.
This is a world where a hologram program exists that can make you look like a different person. So there are light sci-fi elements in this world, but still, this is not like a G.I. Joe or Transformers where you can have like bigger sci-fi things to explain perfect duplicates in body, sound, height, scent, all of the things that could fool your own sister into... The funny thing I like about this is one of my favorite things in the writing of it, though, is that Jem keeps saying things that would reveal her secret identity, but the people watching her are too stupid to catch that is what she keeps doing. So she's being kidnapped. She's being illegally filmed this whole time. Lots of crimes have been committed already here. This is where Jem gets greeted by her friends, ?
What's the matter, Jem? I'd like to talk to you, Kimber. Is this a joke? If anyone should know when my birthday is, it's my sister.
Okay, then tell me who your sister is, and I'll ask her.
Ugh, I don't know what's the matter with everyone, but I don't think this is funny. Excuse me, everyone, but I'm exhausted and I'm going to take a nap.
It's too early.
What is going on around here? Am I losing my mind?
And then the song Nightmare starts up after that.
But even before the song starts, I love all the background music. It's like... They'll be just like zany phrase, and then they'll redo the same zany phrase with like electric guitar.
This really is wall-to-wall music in the show. It never lets up.
Though, like, this is partly following the Marvel cartoon method that they did in G.I. Joe and Transformers, for instance, where they have like a library of songs they just reuse every episode, but then they have to have at least one original song per episode, sometimes more depending on how many they reuse or not. This is the original song for this episode, so it's like they're both saving money on compositions, but they are spending the money on new, like, full songs every episode, too. I love the exchange of like, well, tell me who your sister is, and I'll ask her. Like, somebody paying attention would have realized, well, oh, Kimber's your sister. You're Jerica. Boom. That's all you have to figure it out. This does feel like a toy commercial version of a Kafka-esque nightmare of like, everybody tells you it's your birthday, and then they're constantly telling you like, well, who are you then? Who are you really? Tell us.
Yes.
This is the most like Cars video thing of it, like a lot of scale changes in the Nightmare song.
I was mentioning earlier, these would be very cheap video effects in a live action video. Like the images, so there are 3 images rotating around the screen of Jem and I think Jerica and maybe someone else. But instead of just being video effects swirling, it's somebody having to draw each one of those squares as they rotate around and then kind of move off as if they're pieces of paper. They like disperse from the center of the screen.
I love her like falling. Pizzazz is about to grab her. Giant Pizzazz is about to grab her, and then she falls off her bed into nowhere, and then is trapped inside of an hourglass, about to drown in sand as Shauna and Kimber abandon her. She's left alone. Like, it is a great stressful dream, and even though it's her dream, she still dreams up MTV-style chyrons.
Yes, I love that. Every time there's a song, okay, what level of reality are we on now? Like, it presents like a musical where like music is being used to express the characters' inner lives, but it's also about music. So these are like presumably Jim and the Hologram songs, but they are presented to you as if they are like individual music videos in the middle of life. It's beautiful.
It feels like part of the shows like these are aspirational. You're a young girl, let's say, and you're like, oh, I want to be grown up and pretty like them, but also you're not old enough for MTV, which is rather risque. So you're kind of watching videos just like you're watching MTV, except they're a little safer for you, and they fit within the context of this story.
And hopefully you'll like the song so much that you'll buy the toy to get the cassette with it to hear this song. She has a nightmare, 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 nightmare. When she wakes up from it, her boyfriend is here to visit us with his beautiful purple hair and soft, kissable lips. Rio arrives.
Rio?
Are you all right, Jim? I heard you screaming in your sleep, and I came in to check on you.
It was just a nightmare, Rio.
Want to tell me about it?
It was about me and Oh, never mind, Rio. I can't really talk about it.
What's the matter, Jim?
Oh, I don't know. Everything's been so strange around here today. First, Kimber sends a limo to pick me up as my birthday present, and it's not even my birthday. And then the girls held a surprise party for me. And then Kimber...
Oh, poor Jim. If the girls knew your real identity like I do...
But how do you know? When did you find out? Who told you?
Yeah, I love how Jim is immediately sort of hurt that, like, he knows and, like, maybe someone told him, or maybe he just found out and hasn't, like, talked to her. She knows something is wrong, but she's not immediately springing to, this is a fake Rio. It's like, wait, okay, you know my secret? Oh, no.
It seems like the Misfits, again, got this wrong. Like, they told the actors for the holograms, her bandmates, you don't know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And they told Rio, you do know who she is, when the reality is reversed. So this is even more confusing her. Like, here's Rio saying, like, actually, I figured out the entire love triangle of this TV show. Jem is mentally destroyed in this episode.
Yes. Like, and she gets over it pretty fast. I mean, like, I guess she's just relieved that she's not going insane, and the billionaire at the end is very apologetic. But she's basically like, well, I didn't like it. It wasn't okay, but I'm glad you're honest. And, like, it's not like she doesn't react like my whole world was shaken for 12 hours. Like,
I was driven insane.
Yes, it feels like the end game here is to give Jem mental illness, not to learn her real name.
I think that really is Pizzazz's plan here. She doesn't really care. That's what's going to ruin Jem, that
Yes.
she will just have a mental breakdown. And I mean, perhaps self-harm. And that wins the rivalry for Pizzazz, for sure.
yeah, why haven't the Misfits just tried psychological warfare before? Usually they're just, you know, driving in the Indy 500 and ram her car or whatever.
Yes. Or, like, send a shark after her.
Yeah.
We have also compliments to all the commercial break, like, bumper things. Like, they're really, I especially love this one of, like, the Jem transforming Jerrica into Jem transformation for the thing. Like, it's very anime. It's really fun and cool. I always love these. They have to be there. Our friend Drew Mackey is pointing this out. They have to be there because kids will think that the TV show is continuing as it goes into commercials. So that's why they, it was a legal mandate or softly legal mandate of we'll be right back, as their way of saying cartoon is over. Don't believe these commercials, even though this entire cartoon is a commercial. So before Jem can question Rio anymore, which if the kids hadn't come into the room, she might have just said, you know, I'm Jerrica, and just ruined the whole thing. She gets pulled out of there because Video is here, the music video director of Video.
I'm not impressed by Video's skills. As far as I know, she knows how to operate a VHS player, and that's kind of it. Although fairly new, I mean, not new, but new to most homes. I don't think We had access to one until like 1988 or something like that.
Oh yeah, fancy that VCR. That like just hearing the ka-chunk in it was so great. You know what? I like videos side shaved haircuts. I think that's cool. It's my favorite haircut of the ladies. Also, I'm gonna think this is the last we see of fake Rio. I'm thinking Pizzazz at least tried to get a date with that fake Rio. At least that.
Leave the mask on.
Did kids in 1986 know what "This Is Your Life" was? I knew it as like a phrase, probably because it was like in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. But
yeah, I think I definitely knew, but because like you, I consumed media that was fascinated with an older time, which led me to an understanding of all these old references.
Yeah, I think maybe at this point, if I had seen this in 87, I might have watched other parodies. Sesame Street probably did it at some point or multiple times by 1987.
It was a pretty like standard, like Big Bird, "This Is Your Life." I bet that happened on a Sesame Street. This is where they further try to drive Jerrica and Jem insane by showing her a life that she never lived, with full of impossibly good imitators.
What is this? Jem, this is your life. Great. Here she is, folks. Jem at age 1, and isn't she cute? But that's not... Shh, it's just the beginning. Even at age 3, Jem was truly outrageous. And here's the proud mommy. That woman looks like me.
Of course she does. She's your mother.
And now Jem at age 8, already pretending to be someone else. Who is she really, folks? That's enough! I feel like I'm losing my mind. Jem, why don't you just admit that you don't like the video? I can take it.
Video, wait! You really hurt Video's feelings, Jem. She worked hard on your birthday present.
Making it her fault.
I guess that's also part of the like subtle mind tricks they're doing with her. Like, man, you're really hurting all your friends' feelings. You're letting everybody down, Jem. Why don't you just tell us who you really are?
Yeah, just tell us, Jem. Then everything will be okay. All the pain will end.
I'll credit the wiki page for this, pointing out another aspect of this is I, not a big Jem fan, knew. Another reason this hurts Jem's feelings here is that the death of her mother at a young age for her really affected her. And so seeing like, oh, and here's your mother. She's like, that's not my mother. Like that. She's an orphan, as most superheroes are.
Yeah, I was wondering what's going on here because she says, oh, that woman looks like me. Were they using footage of Jem from the past?
Maybe they hired the adult Jem imitator to imitate her mother for the flashback thing. Maybe
I think so complicated.
They just assumed, okay, Jem's mom would look like Jem, so we'll do this. Again, it's another aspect that doesn't make sense if they really want to know Jem's secret identity. Only makes sense if they're trying to drive her crazy, because why would you do something so demonstrably wrong? Like, you could have gotten so out of whack. But
it's like, we're going to show you all of these like childhood videos of the life that the public people know you don't have. We made it up to drive you insane. And again, for this video to have been made months, like Pizzazz was working on this for months on Prescott's dime. Like, this is not an overnight thing. Or at least, I mean, to build the mansion had to take a year, right? Like, even with contractors working overtime at the highest rate. Like,
this is a flawed plan. I'm just going to say it, guys. This plan, I don't think it's going to work.
Well, it almost does work. At the 9-minute mark is where we finally get to see the Misfits. It's revealed to the audience at home. This feels like it's a miscalculation in the writing, because I think you're supposed to be as a kid viewer watching it and be like, the Misfits are behind it, like, because you don't see them up until this point, but you saw them at the opening. You're of course going to assume the Misfits are doing this, right? You're not fooled like Jerrica is.
No, that's true. Although maybe it's just that we don't have to waste a lot of time cutting back and forth, but I do like the decision. You are in her headspace for a while, but it doesn't work as a reveal. Like, we referenced that Batman cartoon before, and there, like, you get a sense of what could be going on, but it's not expressly shown. Like it is, you're stuck in one perspective, and then there's, a reveal in that one.
And as soon as we cut to the control room, I could not stop thinking about Burns' hair. That's where that entered my mind.
I mean, It only hit me, I wrote it down in my notes, when Pizzazz is yelling at them. That's when it was like, oh, that's when it finally hit me. It was the Burns one. But yeah, you're right, Bob. Yeah, you caught it from the beginning. This is the exact same thing. The Misfits, they are like, all right, we finally got it. And Prescott is already like, oh, I don't know, guys. Like, clearly he can see that this is driving Jem insane by this point. Jem nearly says it until she finally, like, it hits her like, well, wait a minute. Rio knows and you don't know, Kimber? What the hell is going on here? Like, I'm out of here. Like, she almost got, and she should have called it then. Instead, she, like, just tries to be like, maybe I'm going crazy, and just walks out of the room.
Yeah.
But this is when Pizzazz is losing her patience with these actors.
Who are you? Really?
She's gonna tell.
I can't wait.
Wait a minute! Why are you acting like you don't know who I am? And why did Rio say he does? Something really weird is going on here, and I am not amused.
Oh, man, I thought we had her for sure. They blew it.
Yep, in a big way.
Maybe we should call this off. Jem is getting upset.
No way! We didn't go to all this trouble for nothing. We've just got to increase the pressure. We're going to uncover her real identity if it's the last thing we do. Now look! We're not paying you actresses a small fortune for nothing. We want Jem's real identity.
Hey, it's like not our fault, Pizzazz. Jem's not like stupid. She knows something's up. We don't care. We want that information, and it's up to you to get it.
I like the reveal of Aja, who takes her wig off and starts saying things that Aja would never say. Like, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like Squaresville. Yeah, what's with the actor beatnik effect there? I don't know what's going on there.
Or she, like, turns to Janice from the Muppets.
Yes.
I just love that Pizzazz is just yelling at them, telling them they should go. They'll be back to doing Come Blow Your Horn at the Westport Dinner Theater very soon. And this is where, Pizzazz just can't take it anymore. She's dominating all of them, yelling at them, and leading her to even break into song, seemingly diegetically, for how the other characters are all acting. And this does not go into a dreamscape for Who Is She Anyway? It's a reused song from the season 1 episode, the 16th episode of season 1.
Okay, they've got a real, like, Devo, Thomas Dolby thing going on here with this opening riff.
But they're supposed to sound different than the Good Girl songs, which to me anyway is like, I like their songs more because they seem like more indie or like punk-ish,
New wavy, kind of?
Definitely.
A little dash of that.
It's also funny that, like, Devo's the bad guys here. Like, it'd be in the world where, like, Devo is the villains and Madonna is the good guy. Can Devo defeat Madonna? Pizzazz just, like, ripping up things, stomping on things, just be like, who is she anyway? She thinks she's a queen. Like, I also love how she's shaking the girls and their wigs are, like, falling off. There's some fun animation there, too.
Yeah, and there's also, I don't know if it's right here or a little just slightly later, but I love when one of the girls, like, has to put her mask back on, and it is, like, just like a second of horrifying animation because like it's a cartoon, like the mask looks the same as the face, so it's like the face is like sort of melted and then like molded back on,
and she can just pop it off and pop it back on perfectly. No other makeup needed, just like, oh, and put those masks back on, swoop right back. I also like how Pizzazz is now changing the deal and telling him, like, I have my fingers crossed. Now put your face on again and get back to work. I would guess the girls didn't get paid then, seeing as how the rest of Pizzazz and the Misfits run off in the end. So I would assume all these actors who went through months of training did not get paid.
But they didn't learn how to play music.
Yes.
They assumed it would never come up.
They spent all of this money on everything but music lessons for them. We briefly cut back to the real holograms, and this is something I did like, that we go to the real girls who are playing their instruments correctly because they are musicians. They're in the same, practice space, that then we cut to the fake mansion, but the same practice space. It almost would look like they're cutting to the same place they just were in, except it's different. And then the fake holograms show up and don't know how to play there. It's good they put those scenes together. I think that's good plotting. Jem is trying to just restart things. She's like, let's forget your practical joke and let's just get started, Let's just play some music and practice. Everything will be fine. Jem is practicing slightly different lyrics than is the actual end song of the episode. It's "Tell me I'm crazy" is the line in the song at the end of the episode, but "Call me lazy," that's not a real line from the game. So. There's also a rare time where Samantha Newark does the singing for Jem, because normally Britta Phillips is the one singing, but Samantha Newark, for this one line of a song where the band doesn't join in, is still doing
I did
it.
wonder that, actually. So you cleared it up for me.
Yes. Occasionally, Samantha Newark will sing a song if the plot necessitates it. If it's not a real song, it seems like Britta Phillips only does the singing when it's like a music video song, not the character just needs to sing for a second or so. So the girls all screw up their instruments, didn't do that training.
I love how they're all like, just like, first they're like, we're pretty tired. So they don't want to, they're trying to get out of rehearsal for that reason. And then they're like, I guess we don't know that one that well. That's all they come up with.
They have no good bluffs.
It's also funny to think that like Prescott and Pizzazz spent all this time and money on like, well, we got perfect replicas of all their instruments, never thinking that they would be played, apparently. Though, you know what? I'll give credit to Kimber's actress. She comes up with great improv to cover it. They're like, well, they better think of something. And so Kimber's like, I'll fake passing out. That'll do it. And it nearly works. It nearly works. This fake Kimber gets Jem almost to admit it.
Oh, they really blew it. If Jem didn't suspect something before, she will now.
They're gonna have to think of something brilliant to get out of this mess.
You're acting like you don't even know how to read music. Kimber, play me a chord. Me? Kimber! Are you all right, Kimber? Who are you? It's me, Jem!
But I don't recognize you. Who are you, really?
This is it. We've got her now.
Right, her entire image will be blown.
Her career will be ruined in days.
You promised that no harm would come to Jem.
Pipe down, Pressy. But you know who I really am, Kimber. Hi, everybody. Glad to see you rehearsing. Jerica?
I referenced before, there's like one part in this when I was watching it, I'm like, that's really good. This was it for me, because this is like, going in to the third act, going out of the second. Like, I was enough in the world of what was going on that I forgot as a viewer, like, oh, of course, like, they would think that Jerica is a different person. Jerica would be hanging around because Jerica's the manager. Like, of course, some fake Jerica is going to show up, but I'd forgotten that was a possibility. And then for her to be presented with herself right when she was about to, spill the beans, I'm like, that's a good twist here.
Mm-hmm.
It's great plotting that that interrupts her to be like, oh wait, there's a fake me here too. What is going on? And then it's also, she's like about to say, I'm Jerica. Jerica walks in, and then when they come back from commercial break, the reveal that how Pizzazz says, just great, we almost heard it, and then our Jerica, who already was late, now she doesn't even realize that Jerica being late is how they even had a chance of this working at all. If Jerica had been on time, then Jem would have instantly known this is a fakeroo. That's the term Shipwreck used in G.I. Joe, calling it a fakeroo.
Oh, yeah, fakeroo.
Fakeroo, okay.
It's all a fakeroo.
So it's a technical military term.
Yes.
When we get back to Act 3, this is the first time that we've seen the real Jem holograms. Correct?
Right before the end of Act 3, we spot them at the place saying,
at the
she
real
hasn't come home
practice.
yet.
Yeah. But they arrive pretty late in the grand scheme of things.
It takes them a while to realize Jem is missing and that they need to ask the supercomputer that can track her whereabouts at all times where she is. In that case, Synergy really screwed up here by not immediately telling everybody Jem was kidnapped if she is.
Yes. And they also wave off, the idea of just contacting her with there's cameras on her. We don't want to put her in danger. I'm like, I don't know, Synergy. Can't you just use the earrings that she has on, and like whisper to her, Jerica, you're in trouble. Don't let anything on. You have to get out of there or whatever.
I think Synergy's hologram powers are very ill-defined, so I think they could have got away with it. Like, I create a hologram only Jim can see. Something that wouldn't have been too out of left field or impossible. So this is where Jim can take no more. She's like, all right, enough of this. I'm out of here, guys. Like, this is completely fake. I'm not telling any of you anything. It's bring back the Clark Kent Superman thing. It's like those many classic covers of like Clark Kent and Superman pointing at each other. Like, wait, who's the real one? Like that kind of shot of her pointing at Jerica is a really cool shot. I like that too. Again, if the Misfits had a brain, they would get that her reaction means she's Jerica. It never occurred.
Yeah.
But it's just like Lex Luthor never figures out, oh, he must be that mild-mannered reporter, Clark Kent. He would never think that. He would just...
It feels like they have enough information to go off of now.
So Synergy lets them know that they're going to have to, the holograms are going to have to take it on their own to find them and get her free. And so they're going to head out. And this is where Jim, after she's sick of this is where Prissy Preston is also ready to call it quits.
If none of you will tell me the truth, I'm gonna speak to someone who will!
I'll tell you the truth, Jim. I'm calling this whole thing off.
You're not going anywhere, Prescott. Now be a good little boy and sit back down.
No way! You've upset Jem, and I didn't want that to happen. I don't even care who she really is anymore. I just want to forget this whole thing.
Poor Prescott. It looks like we'll just have to keep him busy until we find out who she is. Do you think Prissy will be comfortable in the closet?
No, I have to talk to Jem. Well, she has to know the truth. Hey, wait a minute, what do you do? No!
Now stay there.
Stop it! Get me out of here! Open the door!
Will he be okay in there?
He'll be fine. We'll let him out as soon as we get what we want from Jem.
I like how Rob Paulson plays that. I don't know if it was on the page, but the way he plays it of like, oh, he snapped. This is the real Prescott.
Yes. Yeah, he is screaming like he's being murdered in the closet. He's really giving it his all. Rob Paulson is young. He's got something to prove, and it's all happening on Jem.
This fits more with the darker read you guys were bringing to Prescott. This is where a brief moment of Stormer as the nice one, who's just like, well, guys, I don't like it. There usually was like the nice one in the group of bad guy characters in kids' cartoons back then. I bring this up too because Stormer and Kimber, they're very good friends who even have a whole episode about them doing a duo project as a side project of both of them that becomes a hit song. And Stormer almost joins the Gems and the holograms and quits the Misfits, but she feels bad for the Misfits that she would leave them alone. And this was covered by her friends in Gayest Episode Ever. The name of the episode is The Bands Break Up, but the Gayest Episode Ever retitled it to Kimber and Stormer are gay lesbians making beautiful queer music together. It is seen in the queer fandom of Jem, apparently, that is seen as like the gayest episode. Like Stormer and Kimber meet in a bar or at a club and then decide, you know what, we're going to work together on a song. And there's a closeness that led a lot of fans to ship them together to the point where that 2015 comic I mentioned just made it canon that Stormer and Kimber in that universe are a couple.
It's such a weird progression because, you know, it comes out of sort of a sad thing of like people needing breadcrumbs, like there being like so little representation that like they need something, but then it transforms over time into, yeah, that's it. It's kind of like this nice progression.
That's another part of being an elder millennial like we are, because like we went from growing up with media where it's like, well, maybe this is a queer allegory and I'll project that onto this or I'll put the reading into it. And now today you can just have the queer media. You don't have to like imagine what if these two characters could be gay. You have gay hockey players bottoming all over the place.
So many gay hockey players.
Unless you're a media, maybe like Disney or a company like that.
It's true. The characters are going back in the closet these days.
Yeah.
You're right, Bob.
They'll put a little rainbow pin on you they can edit out in certain territories.
Oh, and of course, if they're going to be gay, they have to be a cop. That also is necessary in things.
Other corporations are comfortable with queer media, and that's great.
Yes, yeah. Well, and also I do think a lot of more queer creators are taking the initiative or have the avenues more likely to make just queer media for themselves that they don't have to make through Hasbro or Disney as well. You know, we're in a post-Steven Universe cartoon world, but also they're trying to put Steven Universe back in the closet now too. Like, and if David Ellison is able to buy Cartoon Network, I would think his first job is straight Steven Universe. That's But anyway. Happier times, happier things, case. So the holograms get in their rockin' roadster. We get just a moment of, hey, this is a cool car. Would you want to buy one for yourself? The rockin' roadster driving down the street.
This next scene, though, if you don't know a lot about Jem, you might think she's just stupid because I had to look more into this. Jem walks into a wall and then falls over, and I guess I'm going to assume that in the real mansion, there is a fake wall, a hologram wall that she can walk through to reach Synergy. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, this is actually similar to that Perchance to Dream Batman episode where he, like, tries to open the clock door to the Batcave, but there's no Batcave there. Like, this is similar. It's her trying to enter her own Batcave and instead concussing herself as she's running to Synergy because they don't know there's a secret room in the fake mansion. Like, it's good writing if you know, but instead she does look just stupid for a second if you don't know that.
If she hits that wall so fast she passes out, they should take her to the real hospital after leaving the fake one.
Yeah.
Yes. Honestly, while she's unconscious, I hope they just quickly took her to a separate hospital room and Pizzazz didn't have any other evil plans while she had lost her consciousness. So this also was in that G.I. Joe cartoon where Shipwreck wakes up in the hospital. He also sort of realizes everything's fake. And then he wakes up in a hospital, and that's their gambit to prove one more time. They're like, no, this is real. And that's where his real parrot fights his fake parrot. Remember that scene, Bob, of the parrot battle?
Oh, yeah, he's got a parrot.
Shipwreck has a sassy parrot who's always back talking to him.
This twist really worked on me because, like, so she walks into the wall, as Bob says, and it seems pretty silly if you don't know that that's where Synergy lives. And then it cuts to they're all in a hospital. Like, apparently the nightmare is over. All of the holograms are there being like, let me explain exactly what happened. You've been, gaslit by this group of actresses dressed up like us. And as a viewer, I was like, well, I mean, like, that's kind of anticlimactic that, like, we skipped over that stuff. But then again, this is like a children's cartoon, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility that this is what's going on. But spoilers for Mission Impossible Fallout. but they're pulling a beginning of Mission Impossible Fallout here. That's what I thought of. But apparently, maybe Fallout got it from G.I. Joe. Who knows?
You're right. This is just like that scene they parody in The Naked Gun, the recent Naked Gun, too.
Yes, yes. Oh, what a great scene.
The writers of this are taking advantage of your low expectations for a toy cartoon that you would think they actually would resolve it with no conflict and her just waking up and be like...
Yeah, I guess it got me, too, because I could, in some sense, buy the idea of an identical mansion being built for this ruse, but they also built a hospital room just in case she hurt herself while all this was happening. That was a little more outlandish than I was prepared to expect, I guess.
If we have to take her to a fake hospital room, we will. Build it just in case.
I mean, how many fake rooms did they build? Was there a fake police station? A fake department store?
It's just great. Maybe, too, it's supposed to invoke a little of, like, the Wizard of Oz ending of, like, well, you're awake now from that dream and everything's fine. So she thinks that she lets down her defenses just for a moment in our next clip.
Where am I?
Everything's okay, Jim. You're in the hospital. A minor bruise. You smashed into a wall.
What happened? Well, it's a long story. Several actresses were posing as us, trying to find out your real identity. They tried to make you think that you were in the real Starlight Mansion, but it was only a replica. I figured out they were fake. I guess I learned the hard way that the mansion was a fake, too.
Everything's fine now. When we showed up, the actresses ran off. The coast is clear.
Well, then I think I've been Jem long enough. It's time to change back into my real self.
That's the best idea I've heard all day, Jim.
Hold your breath. Here goes. Shows.
Wait! Jem, stop!
Kimber! But I thought they're all fakes, Jem. They're trying to find out your real identity. This hospital room isn't real either.
I love how they just, I guess at this point they've learned their lesson. Just go along with whatever Jim says, because if we try and do anything, like, it's obvious that we're doing it wrong. But they're just going along with the idea that Jim's like, well, time to change back into who I really am. As far as I know, they don't know that she has some holographic costume on. They just want to know who she is,
They don't know she has magic earrings, and she's touching them right there, about to change back. Yes. I mean, at this point, this is where I would just have a complete break from reality of Jim.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I guess I know what's normal now. And then the actual real ones come in the room like, no, they're fake. And they almost tricked you again. It's like, you pass out. You can't take it anymore. Reality's gone.
You scream and you jump through the wall, and there's a Jim-shaped hole in the wall.
I thought that, a scene was going to break out in which Jem would be watching this, and there'd be the person in the duplicate no, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one. And Jem has to shoot one of them.
Yeah. They tease it for just a second, something like that. And then Kimber's like, no, you have a wig. That's how I know you're fake. I'm the real one. There. The actresses do all go running off, just as they said happened off screen, but didn't. And then the Misfits at first think hey, you know what? They don't know we're here. Let's keep watching. Maybe now she'll... And that's when they finally figure... At this point, though, the holograms really should say, boy, who did this? You probably can safely assume it's the Misfits at this point. They have done this to you dozens of times by now.
Yeah.
Right?
Our own Bugs Meany. They're always behind the scheme.
It's always them. And then in a very 80s way, they obscure the camera by spraying hairspray on it, I think it is.
I'm like, the audio's still going on. They were going to listen in. I don't know. But whatever.
So this is where Pizzazz and the Misfits run off, escaping any kind of criminal liability they would have in this. You know what? I'm going to say on Pizzazz's part, she better have at least skimmed some off of the top while building all these things. I hope she at least came out on top money-wise in this.
Yeah.
So the Misfits are gone. Everything seems to have been wrapped up, but Prescott does need to come clean for the episode to be truly complete. In our final clip here.
It all started with an ad I put in the paper. You see? And then the Misfits left me in the closet and took off. And I wanted to warn you, Jem, but I couldn't get to you. I really let you down, and I'm sorry.
I'm not going to say it's all right, Prescott, and I wouldn't like to go through it again, but I appreciate your honesty. No hard feelings.
Thanks.
Now I'm ready to go home, to my real home.
Jem, let me make it up to you. I'd like to sponsor your big concert tomorrow night and donate the proceeds to charity.
Oh, that's a nice gesture, Prescott, but...
Please, let me do this, Jem. For the first time in my life, I'm not using my money to get something for myself.
Okay, I'll accept your offer. And thank you. Now, come on, ladies. We've got a new song to rehearse. You do read music, don't you?
What?
Never mind. See you at the concert tomorrow night, Prescott.
Bye, and thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment, but he is using his money to further his relationship with Jem and her organization. There's still an ulterior motive. He's at the concert.
I would think after the donation is made at the end of the concert, he then is trying to be like, boy, so it was pretty funny how we met, right? But, I think we got, you want to, do another of these charity events? we can keep this going. I mean, I do think a worse written cartoon of 1987 that totally would have existed would have had her saying, oh, it's okay. It's always nice to meet my biggest fan, or being more forgiving.
Yes.
I suppose she could be even nicer, but saying I appreciate your honesty and no hard feelings to the man who kidnapped you, that is pretty ridiculous.
No more kidnappings. Come on.
She even gives him a little physical contact that is no, you're giving him exactly what he wants here with that hand on the shoulder. You should be disgusted by this man. He drove you insane.
This guy was dominated by all of these hot glam rockers thrown in a closet. He got to touch Jem and then go to a concert.
Yeah. Best day of his life.
I mean, honestly, if he wanted to call up Pizzazz and say, hey, do you want to, for that same amount of money, just, dominate me for a few weekends a year, Pizzazz would be up for it.
Yell at me, Pizzazz. Lock me in a dumbwaiter.
He would have invented being a pay pig. He would totally, and being fin-domed, as the terminology goes. But so Prescott, though, did learn the lesson all rich jerks learn, which is like you buy forgiveness via donations to charities that are both tax-deductible and nominally a small amount of money to you in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to start a foundation after this.
Though, in real life, no rich man would ever say, like, I learned it feels good to buy something for somebody who's not myself for once. That wouldn't happen in real life, obviously. So, yes, he is going to donate to charity. Jim laughs it all off, though I take the final song, I Believe in Happy Endings, as really a statement of the deep denial she's living in. She's thinking about how she believes in a happy ending because she has to tell herself that, otherwise she would go insane.
Part of me expects this show to cut corners, but when we get to the concert scene, I'm honestly shocked that it's all original footage. They don't just reuse what has to be a lot of existing concert footage and just add new dubbing to it.
You're right. They could have taken from, I could be wrong, maybe the website, the wiki I checked on, is very good at saying when something was reused from another episode, because this song did appear in the season 1 episode Culture Clash, but this is brand new animation of like a full concert, and also credit to the animators. The characters change their clothes a lot in this show. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, like, this show has a lot of ambition on the one hand. On the other hand, it'll always do stuff like, there was a period, at least, where they'd be like, and now, a special repeat performance of the hit song, whatever, and just, like, play the song that was earlier in the show, like, over again fully at the end of the episode in a real, like... we didn't have enough material to fill out the whole runtime gambit.
It is strange of a TV show doing like, let's do an encore, guys.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the cartoon Josie and the Pussycats, where when they play a song, they just exist in a color void in which they can just keep reusing the shots of them playing the drums and playing guitar and singing, and then I guess have some original animation, but it's just an excuse to pad things out with existing content. Here, it's all original, and I say hats off to you.
Yeah, just like the Scooby-Doo cartoons, that just like, it can be the same footage of the dancing or running around that we use every time. But to make it clear it's new animation, like Jem is wearing a different costume than she wore in other parts of the episode or other episodes. And they all are. It's crazy outfits they have on. Jem's outfit of the huge feather boa and then, like, I guess you call them frills or whatever around it. Like, it is a crazy, like, drag queen level, like, glam outfit there. But that's just how big things were in the 80s. It was seen as normal then. It's fun they end at a concert, and yes, Prescott is right there, as you said, brandishing a gun.
If not that, he's holding a photo of Jem and scratching out the eyes.
He'll make a bigger plan next time. Well, also, too, I would think that for Prescott, he is going to get a lot of use out of that mansion and just walking around in the fake Jem mansion and pretending, hiring the Jem actress. He'll get the Jem doppelganger there, too.
For some reason, they had to duplicate all of her underwear.
Yeah, none of that was wasted money as far as he was concerned.
That was his demand.
What if Jem opened up her bra drawer and recognized a different brassiere? No, it has to be all the right bras. But yes, the song wraps up, the episode ends, and we get to the credits with the original opening now used as the season 2 credits. And in Marvel production style, people are poorly credited. It's just a pile of names who would have done it for the entire season. It's up to the hardcore fans to find out who voiced the one-off characters in episodes like this. Though, if you're a cartoon freak, the second you hear Rob Paulson, you know this is Rob Paulson in this cartoon. It's really only changed, like, Tiny Toons, I think, was the big one that changed it, where I think WGA was able to get it, so that's why there's a writer credit at the start of the episode, but it's only, like, Tiny Toons and Nicktoons in the U.S. kind of normalized directors finally getting co-credit at the start of a cartoon, which is not happening in the Marvel.
Yeah, in the case of Tiny Toons and other shows, I think even the storyboard artists would get a credit up front.
Oh, yeah, Nicktoons definitely had the Borders, and Tiny Toons, too, yes. The Borders, which Borders are the co-writers of an episode, of anything. Yes, that's The Fan, the wild mind break episode of Jem, where she goes as crazy as Shipwreck or The Prisoner. I'm glad I picked this one as a wild episode of the show, though it does count on you knowing a lot of Jem facts that I had to learn for it. But it was a character-based episode of a character dealing with her dual identities. It is something that does draw me to Jem, is the comic book style secret identity stuff. I always like that in most media about superhero type characters like Jem is.
Yeah, it was fun to finally sit down and watch this academically, intellectually, to study it, just because I was aware of it. I was around when it was around, but I was not in the same lane, and then it disappeared. Yeah, I feel like this is a unique flavor, and if you want something that, again, is quintessentially 80s, it's got the neon, the big hair, checkerboards, Lamborghinis, glammed out the ass, then this is where you need to go. It is like the perfect time capsule that is better than it should be in many cases.
Yeah. I was honored to be on this Jim episode, but even more honored that I was sort of exposing you guys to Jim. I was sure that you would already be deep in Jim lore, but I was so happy to force you to watch it. And perhaps now also, like me, when inebriated, you could throw a Jim episode on. There's one where like they travel through time that I saw recently that I'm like, dear Lord, why is this in a Jim episode? It's wonderfully bonkers.
In my research, I think the next one I want to watch is one I saw that it has the opening and then Kimber interrupts the opening to be like, I'm sorry, guys, Jim is dead. We're not going to have an episode today. Like,
whoa.
That's an incredible start to an episode. It makes me want to see the rest of it. But thank you, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Dan, for joining us once again and for pitching this. We love when, again, if you're a notable podcaster, push us around like the Misfits did to Prescott. We welcome it. But Dan, where can we find you online and let our listeners know more about the Flophouse in case they don't know about it?
In case you don't know, the Flophouse is a very long-running, at this point, podcast, but don't let that scare you. There's not like a bunch of lore or anything where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it. And unlike a lot of sort of podcasts based on bad media, I would say that we try and avoid a lot of snark. It's mostly three good friends hanging out and using movies as a way to have a fun conversation and be silly. We all enjoy movies. We all are kind of inclined to be easy on even the things we're making fun of, but we have a good time. And the other co-hosts are, of course, my friend Stuart, who I knew from college, and he is the co-owner of several bars here in Brooklyn, but has become a comedy podcaster of note because I pushed him into it. And my friend Elliot, who I worked with at The Daily Show, where I was a writer for many years, and he was head writer toward the end of Jon Stewart's first tenure at the show. So yeah, the Flophouse, flophousepodcast.com. Check it out.
I listened to a recent one that kind of shattered me as a nerd, which was, you guys, for some reason, the Marvel comic character Demolition Man or D-Man came up. And I think it was Elliot mentioned that he's like, oh yeah, he wanted to pitch to Marvel a D-Man limited series. And I think he said that an editor he pitched it to said like, yes, every comedian comes to us and said they have a D-Man series. Everybody, you all think they're so special thinking of D-Man. Is like, oh, nobody's pitched D-Man before. Every mega nerd who likes Marvel Comics is like, oh, actually, I like but I do like D-Man. He's a gay pro wrestler who then became homeless and stayed a superhero. Like, he is an interesting background, D-Man does. But that's just one of the recent Flophouses that I remember really enjoying.
You're selling me on D-Man, too. I mean, we talked about it on our own podcast, but I didn't know the background. That sounds like a fascinating character.
And I missed that episode, so I'm just learning about D-Man. This is great.
You know, it's a recent-ish edition, much like how Storber and Kimber were made officially lesbians. He was recently confirmed to be a gay character, but I'll save that for my D-Man podcast later on.
Henry, does D stand for Dracula?
No, he started as Demolition Man, and then it turned out I think somebody else had the trademark for it, so they just started calling him D-Man.
Well, now I'm less interested. I'm sorry. But thank you, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
Thank you once again to Dan McCoy for being on the show and for pitching the episode. Please check out Dan's podcast, The Flophouse. It's great, and we love it. And as for us, if you want to check out more of what we do and get a lot of bonus stuff and hear ad-free podcasts, go to patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons and sign up for $5 a month. You will get those ad-free podcasts and also access to over 200 full-length bonus episodes. We cover shows like Futurama, King of the Hill, Mission Hill, Batman the Animated Series, and The Critic. And with that $5 a month, you also get a new episode of both Talking Futurama and Talking of the Hill every month. So check that out. It's all happening for $5 a month at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. There is a $10 level as well. When you sign up for that, you get all of the $5 stuff naturally, but you also get one mega massive podcast once a month for patrons of that level only. And what is that, Henry?
Bob's talking about the What a Cartoon movie podcast, where we cover an animated feature film as in-depth as we do an episode of Jim and the Holograms. You saw it in your free feed last week. We covered Sleeping Beauty to start off 2026 with us covering another classic Disney cartoon. We like to do that every January. And this month, we're following that up with a fractured take on similar fairy tales with Shrek 2. Yes, we've covered Shrek before. Now it's time for Shrek 2, just as Shrek 5 is on the horizon. And you know what? If you liked all of the Marvel Productions 80s cartoon toy talk as well, I bet you'd also enjoy the one we did on Transformers, the movie from 1986. That was a whole lot of fun too. We've done it for years and years of the What a Cartoon movie. It's basically 3 extra podcasts you get in addition to all of the ad-free bonuses Bob mentioned at the $5 level. So please head over there today, $10 a month at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons to see what you're missing.
And I've been one of your hosts, Bob Mackey. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd and many other places as Bob Servo. And my other podcast is Retronauts. That's a classic gaming podcast about old video games. You can find that where you find podcasts, or go to patreon.com/Retronauts and sign up there for a bunch of bonus stuff. And Henry, what about you?
You can follow me on Blue Sky and Instagram as Talking Henry. And if you're following me and Bob on social media, don't forget the official social media account of our podcast network, which is at Talk Simpsons Pod. At Talk Simpsons Pod keeps you up to date when there's ever new What a Cartoon or Talking Simpsons podcast. If anything's happening on the Patreon or other cool stuff that we're doing, you stay up to date if you're following at Talk Simpsons Pod. And every previously released free episode of What a Cartoon and the Talking Simpsons podcast can be found at TalkingSimpsons.com.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you again next time for an extended free preview of our What a Cartoon movie episode all about Shrek 2, and we'll see you then.
Oh, is it good to get out of there?